Hi, welcome to Enter the Bunker, where we launch you into thriving. Each week we talk about a different virtue that can be used as a building brick to build your own personal bunkers. We share personal stories, as well as tips and tricks to help you thrive instead of survive. So sit down, relax, and enter the bunker.
Hello, and welcome to Enter the Bunker's weekly podcast, part 2 of Hope. My name's Kelly.
And I'm Jonathan.
And the building brick hope. So last episode we went over the meaning of hope.
Meaning of hope.
And a few quotes. And this episode we're going to go over how to embrace hope.
That's right.
So we have 3 ways here. 1, seek inspiration. 2, re-identify your goals. And 3, embrace adversity. So 1, seek inspiration. Find something that inspires you. When you become deeply inspired to the point of awe, it creates meaning and value to you. That will bring positive feelings and a sense of hope from within to keep you moving forward. Look to nature for inspiration. Remember, the waves don't stop rolling in regardless of what is happening around them, and the sun never fails to rise even when it is cloudy. You might not see it, the sun, but I guess it's still there.
Of course it is.
Seek inspiration.
So finding inspiration in things is, finding inspirational things is something that in our day-to-day lives, it can be difficult if you're not taking that time to take like just 10 minutes and be able to actually have a piece of like something that actually has inspiration for you.
Yeah.
A good way to do it is actually to subscribe to a podcast. And actually take that time to actually listen to something which is inspirational, which could be something that talks about building bricks. And that way you could be able to actually get that time for inspiration. So find something, whatever it is. It could be podcasts, it could be videos, it could be actually reading a book, like going old school. So there's lots of ways that you can find inspiration. It all depends on what your style is. So it's going to be different for everyone. It's just as long as you do take that time to be able to have a piece of inspiration in your daily life.
Right. Okay. Number 2, re-identify your goals. When you reacquaint yourself with your goals, you're able to have a clearer vision of what is important to you and what you want to contribute to yourself, to your family, your community, the world. When your goals are aligned with your passion, the feeling of hope grows inside of you. It helps you connect with your deeper values. This will make you more likely to persist and prevail through obstacles. So I guess it's easy to get off track.
Yes.
When you have a goal, especially if something crappy happens.
For a lot of people, they don't even have goals.
Yeah.
Creating the goals is important, but having why you're doing things is more important.
Yeah.
So as long as you have goals that are driven by like why, then that allows you to be able to because sometimes goals will, like when you do reevaluate them, what's guiding those goals? It's why you're doing it,
the hope.
Right? Yeah, the hope.
Yeah.
So if you want to, so if you're going to re-identify your goals, it's the why that matters. So a lot of people just don't have that conversation with themselves. It's a conversation, an evaluation. But if you do, then that's going to allow you to be able to more easily hold on to hope in difficult times, because again, there's this thing in the distance, you know that there's a valley that you have to travel through, but because you can see where it's going, it makes it much easier to be able to drive through whatever adversities are going to come your way, right? So it takes the mountains and turns them into molehills, and it makes it easier to be able to actually get there.
Right. How often do you think somebody should do that? Like, I wonder what would be the correct.
So I guess it depends on if you're looking at so you can probably break it down into short-term and long-term goals, right? You can go from maybe what you want to accomplish even within the day, but then it could also extend to like out to a month, or it could be even years, right? So it's really good to, oftentimes you're asked like, so where do you want to be in 5 years?
I knew you were going to say
and everybody gets that question, and most times people are like, I have no idea.
Yeah.
Right? Because they never actually like tried to actually do that, right? To actually have those kind of goals going that far out. And for a lot of people, because of the difficulties in the world today, pretty hard to look that far out, right? Because you're just like, well, anything could change inside of 5 years. And how are the possibilities of me getting to where I want to go in 5 years and not being derailed by something? Right. So I would say that probably for most people, they want to have something that's going to be in the short term, which is achievable, which is easy to see. So you get that sense of accomplishment, and then you have a long-term vision that actually, so all these short-term goals will feed into a bigger one. And then that way, as you're going, you feel like you can feel the achievement, right? And you know that you're taking steps towards that bigger goal that's in the far distance.
So I have two things after you're done saying this. So the first is, I remember you guys asking me that question when I got hired. And I am 3 years and a month in to this job. So I'm thinking about my answers that I gave you actually. And I'm like, where am I to those goals? And I'm just, yeah. Anyways, and number two, when I plan a goal, I don't know if this is just me, but I don't really think of the what ifs, all the bad things that could happen.
Okay.
I guess maybe sometimes, but like, as you're explaining this, I'm thinking about the time that you asked me at my interview, what my goals were that I gave you, what happened in those 3 years in my life. And it's stuff that I never expected. Like I never thought any of that. Some things were bad, some things were good, but I never expected, I don't know, I just didn't think there was going to be red lights, like roadblocks and stuff like that. But there definitely has been, and I don't know. It's just, what?
What?
I don't know. It's making me reflect because I don't know. Is it bad not to think of roadblocks when you have a goal? I feel like it is. You should think of those. But you don't know what's going to happen. You have no friggin' clue. So why stress on that?
Yeah. So this comes back to having a hopeful outlook versus a fearful outlook.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's easy to, I guess it could seem like you want to just have nothing but hope, right? The truth is though, is that you should expect that things are going to get in your way.
Yeah.
Right. They're going to think there's
like I know things will.
Yeah.
It's not like I can control them.
Yeah. So there's always going to be, you can call it tests, right? So like throughout life, you're tested. You know, are you going to be able to do this? Can you do that? And these are just things that happen in life that just test us to be able to grow out of those tests, right? So if you know that as you're taking that journey that there are going to be tests, there's going to be difficulties, that's fine. You put that you kind of put that as a side note, right? But then you stay focused on what the end result's going to be, and that's what matters. And so by reevaluating that and reevaluating your goals and actually setting the goals, then at least you have the destination set so that you have your hope strong as you go through that.
Yeah, I think I'm going to be reevaluating my goal. I think I still could get there for the thing that I have in my head. Like one of the things that I said, I might as well just say, was I want to buy a house.
Okay.
And I haven't done that yet. So, but that's like 2 years from now. So maybe it's something I could still do. And I don't know, you never know.
Yeah.
Anyways, I think I need to reevaluate and think about that again and maybe set some new goals because I don't know. I don't know what 5 years looks like from now.
Yeah.
But I knew then what 5 years was going to look like. So anyways, embrace adversity is number 3. Obstacles aren't meant to stop you. They're meant to be overcome. Adversity should be used as a learning opportunity. Every obstacle you overcome gives you the tools to reach your goals. Pay attention to what each obstacle can teach you. Hope is strengthened when you hit a setback and get past it and learn from it.
Yes.
Yeah. That, I feel like that's pretty well like the definition of hope right there.
Well, embracing adversity is really, if you get to where you want to go and there wasn't any kind of effort in getting there, how much do you actually appreciate it, right? So because the journey ends up having all this adversity that's involved, by the time you get there, it's just so much sweeter, right? So if you had a goal and you just like, we love the story of the person who just like, they were like, they had this vision and they had this goal and they set out to do it, but then this happened and that happened and this happened, and it seemed like the whole world was coming down on them.
Yeah.
But through all that, they still held on to their hope and they pushed through and they went through the adversity, and by the time they got to it, and then they actually achieved their goal.
Yeah.
And when we hear that story, it's inspirational.
It is.
But you know what? For the person who went through it, it means that whatever they got was that much sweeter because they know how much they had to go through in order to get to it.
Yeah.
If it was something that was just like, you can think of it like a rich kid, you know, who gets like this brand new Lambo and like he's just like, you know, to somebody else that's the dream.
Yeah.
But to them it's just like, meh, you know, because he didn't have to do anything for it. Right. It means nothing to them.
Yeah.
Right. So there's this meaning that's derived from the adversity we go through. And it sounds weird. It sounds crazy when you think about it. It's not rational, but we're human. We're not rational.
Right. It's true.
Right. So, so it's the aspect of being able to actually take whatever adversity is thrown at us and being able to embrace it as part of like, you know, I'm going to go through this, you know, but I'm so set on this. And again, it comes back to the tests and difficulties. Some people will say, you know, if you want to give it like a kind of theological look, people would say, well, God will test you, you know, and there's some sayings too, like, you know, how do you make God laugh? Tell him about your plans, right? Because he has something else planned for you, right? So, so it's the same kind of thing where, you know, the universe is going to test you and the universe is going to see if you're worthy and all these kinds of concepts. It's a very common thread all throughout different kinds of ethos and cultures to understand that life is adversity and that we push beyond it. The movie The Matrix?
Never seen it.
Oh my gosh. You're joking right now.
I don't. Wait, is that a show?
Oh god.
Oh no, okay. I'm thinking of X-Files. Okay. Wait.
The Matrix.
Yeah, no, I never seen that.
Okay, so we'll have to fix that. But there is one specific scene where Smith, who is the agent in The Matrix, and he's trying to interrogate Morpheus, and he starts to talk about how they created they created the Matrix to be perfect in the beginning, but because of humanity, they couldn't keep it, and so they had to create this conflicting world, right? And the computers hated it. You know, Smith himself was like, I can't stand this place. It's terrible. And then he starts to talk about the smell and all this kind of stuff. And it's just like, to him, it was disgusting. Right. Because it wasn't this picture perfect, like computer system, right? But it's humanity. That's just, it's creation. It's what we are.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to end this by kind of going back to what you were saying earlier. About overcoming the obstacles. So I love when something happens. So say you have a goal, you've went through all of those obstacles that person went through, but you've reached that goal. Now you have more goals. Obviously, there's goals every single day in life. And when you've gone through one of those obstacles, you've reached your goal, you completed that obstacle, everything, but then you have another goal and you hit what you think is the same obstacle, but you've already done it. So now you're like, I've done this, and you can, I don't know, it just helps. When you're always learning.
That's
always learning. So it helps you in the future when you have more goals. Just keep learning.
Yeah. And there's some thought too. Some people have ideas about how, like goals are very common in terms of like, you know, you should set goals and things like that. There's a lot out there that actually says you shouldn't set goals, you know, and there's all these reasons behind it and this kind of thing. But the truth is that it's the same process in terms of like us setting a destination for ourselves, having and when I talk about like, why are we doing things, that's setting sort of like a mission for yourself so that it gives you that guidance in terms of where you want to go, right? Because if you just set goals but don't understand your inner why and why you're doing things, then what happens is that those goals might not have the foundation they need to really be able to resist all the adversities that are going to come down, right? But if you really understand your inner why and why you're doing these things, and this is why a lot of people, like this is where I think a lot of the whole culture out there of like, you shouldn't set goals and things like that comes from. Then what happens is that you end up being able to be guided more by a mission rather than by the specific goal.
Okay.
You understand the difference?
No. What's a mission?
So if you know that if you have a certain mission in life, right, of why you're doing things, then that is what sets the goals that you set for yourself.
Okay.
But if you don't have that and the goals are being set, then why you're doing things is not for centered, right? Then what happens is that you end up creating goals that sometimes just don't have enough foundation to them to really hold on to.
Okay.
Right? So you want to be able to have this really a mission, a guiding mission instead. And it's kind of like what happens in military terms, like when they go to war, right? The general, when he's giving directions to all the troops, instead of having a plan, like they used to plan their attack and everything, right? Yeah. And the first thing that happened whenever they would go into the field was their plan would go out the window, because guess what? What they expected didn't happen. And now the plan's not going to work.
Right.
And they figured that out after losing a lot. And so then what happens is that, okay, we don't need a plan. We need to have a guiding mission so that everybody understands what the objective is, right? And so by doing that, what happens is that what happens is that the troops, instead of having some kind of plan, they know what the objective is. Right. And whatever it is they're doing has to be towards that objective, right? And so by doing that, everybody now is like, well, whatever's happening, I better be doing this so that I can get to the objective, rather than the plan where they were like all organized and they were like, okay, you do this, you do that.
They have an objective.
And then as soon as the plan fell apart, they were just basically they die.
Yeah.
So it's a difference between having a mission and understanding the mission and holding to the mission versus just going on with the plan, right? So, yeah.
Makes sense. All right. Thank you, everybody, so much for joining us for part 2 of Building Brick Hope. Stay tuned for Reverence next week. See you then.
Hope to see you then.
Thank you for listening to Enter the Bunker. Make sure to follow us on Instagram, where you can share your story and also look at behind the scenes of how we make our podcast. You can watch the video version of this podcast on YouTube by simply searching Enter the Bunker. Tune in next time as we launch into thriving.